in the right place with the Technology Source virtual round table. We will get started in just a few seconds. We are syncing up live. Thanks for everybody who is on time or early. Welcome. Let us know where you're dialing in from. All right. Awesome, awesome. All right, we are live streaming all across the world now.
Hello, Internet.
Hello, Internet. You're in the right place. This is the Technology Source Virtual Roundtable. Today we have on Mr. Kenneth Knapp from Nitel, and we are going to talk about why your network should not go on vacation, but you should. So for those of you who've been here before, you know the drill. My name is Sonia Moline, and I am the Chief Information Officer with Technology Source. Today we do have a really awesome giveaway. It is a $200 gift card for Airbnb. So to win, all you have to do is ask some good questions. And if we use your question, we'll put your name into a bowl. And if we draw your name at the end, you win the prize. So super easy, super simple way to win a fun prize, and a great way to learn about a good technology topic. And so I commend those of you who are here today, taking the time out of your busy day to fill your brain with more information, and good job for you for being here. And so I see we have a lot of returning guests on today, so thank you for coming back, and a couple newbies. So welcome again to the Technology Source Virtual Roundtable. So I am excited today to introduce Mr. Kenneth Knapp, who is a proven telecommunications wholesale carrier enterprise sales expert with broad experience in Fortune 100 as well as startup organizations. He has been recognized by national and global organizations as a top producer and sales leader. Kenneth is a dedicated and skilled professional, proficient in the process of building winning sales teams as well as the intricacies of selling technical solutions. So Kenneth has been with Nitel for 7 years, and you've led the West Channel team for the past 5. And we are excited to learn more about Nitel today, because this is the first time we've had you on to meet with some of our clients and some of our partners and advisors clients. So happy to have you on so that they can learn more from you today, Kenneth. Where are you calling in from today? It looks like a very corporate background. Are you at home or are you in the office?
Actually, Nitel is accelerating through growth mode, so I'm attending onboarding at our headquarters in Chicago. I live in Southern California with my beautiful wife, Charisse, and our 2 adult children who are now off to their own devices, but I'm here in Chicago all week till Friday.
All right, well, good. Well, and to audience, thank you for being here. Again, we do have that really awesome prize of the $200 Airbnb gift card. So if questions come up, we want to hear from you. This is a roundtable, and we call it that for a reason. It's so that we can add the voice of our audience. So I will be asking Kenneth questions every few slides after he goes through some details about his organization and the topic of the day. So that topic today is why you should take vacations, but your network should not. I think that's a fun one. And Kenneth, why don't we talk about why your network should not go down and how to make sure that that business continuity is in place for organizations?
Yeah, any always on technology, and obviously for any enterprise with a cloud first initiative, having not just diversity built into the infrastructure, and that's everything from your endpoint or last mile technology through all of the multiple layers of technology solutions that allow those packets to flow to the end result, which is your upstream UCaaS provider, Google, Azure, Microsoft, etc. You want an end-to-end solution, but not just the technology and the last mile solutions in place to do that. You need a middle mile manager. You need a carrier partner that has a platform and an institution or a group of award-winning focused professionals that can monitor 24/7, 365 your real-time network, and then obviously jump in and as a day 2 support organization, create a healthier network when you do have an end result like an outage or a fiber cut, etc. But the resiliency of the network itself starts at the last mile and then drives all the way through the upstream wide area network into your global partner of choice, and then that middle mile management of, making sure that the network operations, network engineering team is Johnny on the spot when you are having a bad day. They're ready, willing, and able to jump in when you're in Fiji, and we fix the problem for you.
All right. Well, let us know a little bit more about the company, who you guys are, where you came from, give us the whole overview, and I will put myself on and just learn and listen and learn.
Absolutely. So for the past 22 years, Nitel historically has been a 100% organically grown organization. And what that means is we go to market via the channel. We're 100% channel focused, which means the only way most corporations hear about Nitel is through an enterprise advisor, someone you've known for many years, perhaps a professional relationship, an integration partner, an MSP, et cetera. And we are given the value of an introduction through a trusted relationship. But for 22 years, every 5 years, Nitel has doubled our revenue growth since inception. And the only thing that changed late last year in December, we went from an owner-owned organization to a private equity-owned organization. And we are now working in partnership with an organization called Cinven out of the UK, $48 billion under management, about 140 transactions under their belt. But through their advisement, by leveraging lots of dollars of investment, Nitel is now accelerating that 22-year growth and of the platform of the organization, become a global dominant network as a service company. And we are solving for any and all end-to-end solutions, platforms, inorganic growth strategies that fit in that vision of doubling and then tripling the overall organization size, strength, and depth. So as we sit today, Nitel is hyper efficient at network. I like to call us network agnostic. So we have and leverage almost 2,500 underlying wholesale carrier network relationships. And that includes through our Nitel Connect platform, which is our core network. And today we have 7 POPs, with our 8th POP being deployed in Miami today to give us Latin America access. We are growing and expanding the mesh or matrix of our infrastructure that allows us to fill in any gap. I like to say we can offer primary, secondary, and even tertiary access anywhere throughout all of North America and beyond. So more recently, you witnessed an acquisition of HyperCore with Nitel. And as we approached HyperCore, we saw them as kind of our baby brother in the aggregation space, specifically, both internationally and with domestic broadband aggregation. And it was a perfect fit of their sales organization with our sales organization. So in about 100 days, give or take, we acquired an inorganic, through inorganic acquisition, we acquired a third-party company and have integrated that sales force into our own. And we are now running as one seamless brand and organization to market. And we are expanding our global footprint and domestic footprint as we speak. So we're hyper-focused on acceleration and growth. We have a very strong private equity partner in Cinven, and Nitel is laser-focused in channel first as a relationship earner throughout the marketplace.
Okay, that's great. So as it pertains to, your network, can you tell us what Nitel does for organizations? We have several organizations on today.
Absolutely.
I see some in the healthcare space. I see a couple in the hotel space. A couple I see in, I'm just looking at the different industries. Are there specific industries that Nitel would be more focused on, or do you have clients that kind of span across the different industries? Do you have anything you can share on like who your clients are?
Absolutely. So when we talk about breadth, depth, growth, size, focus of an organization, we work across all verticals. In the hospitality space, I won't drop names since we're public on YouTube and everyone's watching, but we have a host of very large, medium, and small companies, whether it's a mom and pop shop flower company in New York City, or a large national or even multinational organization Nitel can grow and expand or fill in gaps in any infrastructure. If any enterprise organization or any of the advisors that might be watching this video today, you should think of Nitel as coming from a standpoint of flexibility. We want to be the partner of choice, and we want to offer flexibility. So when you look at whether it's a healthcare company, a bank, a pharmaceutical organization, a retail chain, large or small, hundreds if not thousands of sites, seaboard to seaboard, or expanding globally, we'd like those organizations to think about Nitel as a seamless partner to offer a platform. And I can go into more detail about what the Nitel platform is and how we're accelerating our growth into the network as a service space. But when you think about which verticals we fit in and what types of organizations we work with, they're all shapes and all sizes, whether it's someone working in the cannabis industry, the accounting industry at the very highest levels, retail, hospitality, a large range of names that come up on your TV every evening rely on Nitel for access, whether it's primary, diversity, voice, et cetera, seaboard to seaboard. So we like to work with any and all organizations of any shape and size, but we want to be the flexible partner of choice to guarantee that whatever expectation you have, whatever vision you're driving to with your cloud first initiatives or enhancements of your organization, either domestically or internationally, we would love to be that partner of choice.
Okay, that's great. And then would you have some, like a presentation that you'd like to share with everyone today?
Absolutely. Can you see my screen, Sonia?
Yeah, I see it.
Perfect. So in a nutshell, Nitel has a very laser-focused growth methodology to become a dominant global network as a service provisioner by offering flexibility and predictability in infrastructure. For any organization with a cloud-first initiative, Nitel would like to become that partner of choice. And we do that through a number of methodologies. I'm going to just paraphrase this PowerPoint to share sort of the power under the hood with Nitel. I'm going to glaze over this slide, but as I mentioned, across any vertical, any company of any shape or size, I'm not going to leave this slide up very long, but one of my favorite feathers in the cap of Nitel is the state of 911, the California State 911 network, 443 PSAPs across the entire state, primary MPLS network, secondary MPLS network, backed up by fixed wireless and 4G LTE, all riding on a seamless Cisco Viptela backbone. I don't think there's any more mission critical application in any industry than a 911 network. So we're very proud of that solution. And that's one of many across multiple verticals, whether it's banking, EDU, medical, et cetera. When we think about uptime and sustaining diversity or always on technology for any organization, it comes down to a platform and partner of choice. And then there has to be seamless end-to-end diversity from last mile through up to network termination. The power under the hood is Hyperdrive. When you think about Hyperdrive, I want you to think about a multi-year project where Nitel customized and deployed a platform to become the centralized OSS for the entire organization. What it's allowed Nitel to do is take 50 disparate systems and drive them into a single pane of glass experience for any and all customer detail, ongoing network issues, et cetera. So that is the engine under the hood. And then your windshield at the very top level is the My Nitel portal. The My Nitel portal is palm in your hand empirical evidence to make actionable, intelligent decisions in the market wherever you might be. So when you're sitting on the beach in Hawaii or sitting in Fiji, you can log in through a single credential and you can see in real time your network stateful inspection, drill down to every box and every piece of circuitry involved in your network. If there is a trouble ticket, you'll see that open trouble ticket there. You can also chat with the direct inline engineer deployed to solve that problem for you. You can also look at all historical tickets to see if there's anything ongoing in your network that's problematic. You can pull down in real time your entire inventory installed with Nitel. A lot of folks love to do audits. C-level CFOs would love to know, what do we have installed with Nitel today and how much are we spending? You can pull that down in real time in Excel format and get that to your CFO today. Beyond that, all of your account management, all your direct counterparts and communication points inside Nitel are captured in that seamless pane of glass experience. And then that will work to make sure that you understand exactly what's functioning within Nitel. And I failed to mention that all in-flight orders are also captured inside the My Nitel portal. And that includes up to the minute, real-time notes as they're shared with your dedicated project manager over time for every single install or in-flight circuit they're currently activating or planning on activating in the near future. But when we look at uptime,
as a very detail-oriented person, I love that, and being able to go back and reference those types of notes, I think that's really special. As a reminder, I do know we have almost double the audience that we had when we first started, so thanks for joining, and we have several more on YouTube since we're streaming live there too. So thank you for joining. We do have a giveaway today, and that is a $200 gift card to Airbnb, because we're talking about why you should take a vacation and not your network. So a generous offer from Nitel. So to win, all you have to do is ask some good questions to Kenneth here, and we would be happy to get your name into the drawing at the end, which will be in about 40 minutes. So let's keep hearing from Kenneth, and don't forget to ask some good questions.
Thank you, Sonia. So let's delve into the always on concept. When we look at the network itself, the living, breathing network of how you do this, Nitel was custom built from the ground up. A lot of people will use the dirty word of aggregation, but aggregation is a beautiful thing. We're making different disparate networks and autonomous systems look and act like one autonomous system. And we do that and leverage that through Nitel Connect, which is our core infrastructure, our core network. When we look at diversity and uptime, we have to look at and inspect diverse vendors. And it's not just, do we have diverse technologies, but do we have diverse carriers? Do we have diverse ingress and egress from every facility in our infrastructure? Does that matter to your company, industry, your business specific focus? When we look at endpoint diversity, obviously, if you want to get out of the ground and go to the air, Nitel has, as I said, thousands of underlying carriers that we can leverage for your benefit. So fixed wireless, satellite, 4G, 5G, LTE solutions, and then a myriad of fiber, cable, copper, asymmetrical fiber, symmetrical fiber, et cetera, solutions to meet and exceed any quality assurance or service level guaranteed solution you're looking for, or in the case of best effort, plain vanilla internet, we offer many flavors of that as well. When we look at diverse technologies, as I've talked about a few business cases with partners recently, and in many of our business cases, we have customers, whether it's biotech or financial firm, that are leveraging high availability. And that means they have two always on devices that are mirrored and paired. So failover happens instantaneously. If a power supply should fail, that secondary box will be on and live to diverse packets of data and send them upstream to any cloud termination partner of choice. And then looking at diverse architecture, when we talk about the entire state of California's 911 network, we're talking about two MPLS core networks that do not touch in any way, shape, or form. No single point of fiber in that infrastructure will integrate or touch another piece of fiber. And then to ensure that, we've leveraged fixed wireless and even 4G LTE for simple signaling at any critical site that has to have always on. So when you're thinking about what does diversity mean to my infrastructure, my company, my team, how much loss, how much revenue is missed if we have an outage, even if it's something as little as what happens to that broadband circuit in our logistics office in Cincinnati? How many orders are impacted by that simple 1 hour, 2 hour, 5 hour outage? And I think that needs to go into everyone's planning processes and thinking. When we look at SD-WAN, there's lots, I call it the magic black box, right? There's auto failover. So you can have a solution that allows not just for security and managed firewall solution protection, but auto failover, forward error correction, and packet duplication, which means, as we are suffering a failure, and we actually run this in our sandbox as a demo, you can be on a live phone call talking with experts and folks just like yourselves. We can fail a single circuit, it fails over to another circuit, and in real time, that communication repropagates without failure. So, you may hear a new nuance of a little tick, a little something that happened, but the failover is seamless and you don't, most importantly, drop that call. And when we talk about voice services diversity, getting that infrastructure, that local on-prem PBX is mission critical to have diversity and always on technology in the palm of your hand, in the cloud, et cetera. So we do look at solutions like that. Who is your termination partner? So Nitel does offer hosted voice platform and solutions as a company. But we also leverage partnerships with many leading upstream voice providers to ensure that it's not what is important to Nitel. We want to be a flexible partner to ensure that any customer of any size, regardless of your partner of choice, we can become that middle mile manager to ensure that you have an always on experience, and we can terminate offering and guaranteeing that quality assurance to you and your most critical publics, whether it's internal, external to your corporation. Sonia, any questions at this point? Or are we good to roll on?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take one quick question. So this one is from John B, as in Bravo. John says, with so many people working remotely, which is very true, often from home, what are the biggest challenges or needs that you see businesses that they're overlooking in supporting these remote workers? Great question, John, and we will put your name into the hat to win this prize.
I love that question. So obviously, in the last couple of years, we've had more and more remote workers. Telehealth seems to be one of those areas where it can be challenging. The good news is there are a number of underlying providers that will leverage their access for our benefit when it's a mission critical enterprise solution. The biggest problem for any residents is to get diversity and uptime. So there's first platform. How are we getting that always on solution for the endpoint, the remote user? Now, most users are going to have their mobile phone, which can be MiFi, hotspot, et cetera, to give them some form or ability to communicate. But when we look at the logical network, we're going to have the ILEC and the cable co traditionally. And then for the consumer base out there, there are a couple other technologies they can leverage, whether it's a cradle point based 4G or 5G solution where that's from the business out to them and secured by the business, or allowing them to leverage their own last mile technology with perhaps an asymmetrical or symmetrical fixed wireless solution, or perhaps satellite if it meets the needs of the customer based on latency, high availability, et cetera. And Sonia, by the way, can you please invite Ron Anastasio, my solutions architect? He's trying to log in right now as well on the live feed.
Yeah, let me try to do that.
But again, when it comes to telehealth and people in a remote location, zero trust is important. So when you're looking at your security stance, what are we doing to ensure that our remote public is educated on not to click on links that are unknown from the organization, not to open up PDFs, et cetera. So you've got to have some form of firewall that is actively protecting and authenticating domains, working in and out of your infrastructure. And then, having the infrastructure to support, I think, is a little bit of a challenge when you talk about remote users working from home. As I'm sure a few folks on the phone have witnessed, there are some underlying carriers that might be running down Main Street just a block or two away from your house. But in order to get them to build actual business grade fiber to your home can be very complex and very challenging. Now, like I mentioned, there are a couple of ways to gain primary diverse access for a telehealth user, but traditionally we're going to be leveraging that last mile provider, whether it's the incumbent local exchange carrier, a cable co. Perhaps in many cases there are a lot of very, very good fixed wireless solution providers in many metro areas across the country. And then as a secondary solution, we like to leverage a 25 meg 5G solution on a cradle point that can be secured and leverage this failover in that remote environment. Any other questions, Sonia, or would you like me to talk about Nitel Connect and our platform?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Sounds great.
All right, perfect. So over 22 years, we've obviously onboarded a number of carriers. I'd like to mention that every single month, Nitel is onboarding additional underlying carriers to meet and exceed our customer needs. So when you think about flexibility, I want you to think about Nitel as last mile agnostic. If there is a service level guarantee that is needed, we're going to guarantee the underlying solution supports that need. And by the way, if I may, Sonia, let's unmute Ron and let's let him dive into the Nitel Connect story, because I'm sure people are sick of hearing me talk at this point. Ron, you want to jump in here, bud?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I think, Kenneth, you're going to have to mute yourself because we're close to each other.
You're good.
All right. Everybody hear me? All right. So Nitel Connect is basically based off of our infrastructure network that consists of 7 dual core POPs. So if you know your geography, you'll see there the bright orange dots represent our 7 POPs from left to right. You know, we have Seattle, Los Angeles, Denver, Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta, and New York, and soon to be Miami. So these POPs are what we have our over 300 interconnections to a lot of the LECs and the CLECs out there that enable us to be able to connect to over 8.5 million commercial buildings across more than 42,000 zip codes, right? It's also, these POPs are also where we have our interconnects and direct peering points to a lot of the top voice and cloud providers out there. You know, cloud providers such as, you know, Microsoft, Google, Salesforce, top voice providers such as RingCentral, Vonage, Jive. We are directly interconnected with Nextiva. We are also interconnected with Momentum Telecom. So just an example of how our network is fully interconnected with a lot of the cloud providers out there. Each of our POPs are connected to each other via diverse circuits so that there is no single point of failure. Any questions regarding the Nitel Connect network?
Yeah, it looks like we have a quick question. This one is from James M, as in Mike. He asks, with all the underlying carriers, does Nitel cover the outage handling and provide a single point of contact to resolve those types of issues?
That is correct. As far as, you know, one of the value adds of Nitel, as long as Nitel is providing the internet access, whether it's a dedicated internet access, you know, that's fiber-based, or a broadband service, Nitel is the point of contact for that customer, right? The customer will never have to deal or contact AT&T, Verizon, Lumen, you know, whoever that last mile provider is. Their point of contact, their provider is Nitel, right? And that's in terms of the service delivery, right? So prior to the service being installed, Nitel is the service delivery person. You know, it'll be a project manager from Nitel. The ongoing management and support will all go through Nitel, and the billing will obviously go through Nitel.
Great, thanks, James. We'll get you into the drawing here for that $200 giveaway for Airbnb. And next we have a question from John P, as in Papa. He says, as my business goals grow and change, as my business grows and changes, how flexible and scalable is the network and monitoring solution?
So monitoring, I'll tackle the monitoring pieces. As long as Nitel is providing the access, whether we are providing managed equipment or whether the circuit is connecting in directly into customer provided equipment, we have the ability to proactively monitor, right? So that is included with every internet service that Nitel provides, whether that's dedicated or broadband. So that's included. As far as the scalability, you know, Nitel is able to whether it's adding in additional internet connections to provide redundancy and additional bandwidth, or whether it's upgrading existing services, that is something that Nitel can provide for the customer. I don't know, Kenneth, if you want to add on to that.
Yep. Yeah, so in a lot of cases, our larger organizations are overbuilding their loops and access into the network. So case in point, there's a number of large organizations doing 3, 4, 5,000 site services where GigE is mandated across the entire infrastructure, even though today they might be running at an average consumption of 50 to 100 megs. So allowing that flexibility of growth over time can be, you know, more accommodated. And then, as Ron alluded to, when you come down to flexibility of the core network itself or the access to infrastructure, Nitel comes from a point of flexibility, last mile agnostic. We leverage any and all solutions for the benefit of the customer, so long as they meet the quality assurance needs and guarantee a service level that meets and exceeds the packet deliverability for the customer's applications. We'll deploy it. So by leveraging underlying access for the benefit of the customer, that gives us additional flexibility, and then overbuilding the logical access into the infrastructure of choice at each site, regardless of last mile provider, mind you. Nitel does that as well. And by the way, for our larger organizations who might be joining us, Nitel does offer flat rate pricing. If you do have 100 sites or more across, any portion of the U.S. and globally, open up a dialogue with your advisor. Join us in dialogue to look at your network needs, and let's right size the solution. And Nitel does like to offer flexibility when we look at things like SCON and builds and things like that. So let's have a dialogue and make sure that your infrastructure is shored up, that you can get diversity built into every single site, seaboard to seaboard and beyond. And we've done that for a multitude of our current customers that are well-known brands that you would associate with, people that are spending millions of dollars a month online for TV advertising and online, et cetera.
Yeah, and I always find one of the things that is helpful when I'm working with clients, like some of the ones we have on today's call, is to have them speak to a customer that's similar to them that's working with you. Is that something that we would be able to do if one of the customers here said, okay, perfect? I just think that always helps because, when I was an IT director, everyone always says they have the best service. Everyone always has the best products. But as an IT director, I was like, okay, well, just let me talk to a couple of your customers that are in the similar space to us, and then I can help, make an informed decision there. So I love that. And I know we have lots of customers with Nitel, so that would be something that I would be very happy to help initiate if there was customers and advisors on the call today that wanted to do that. So okay, well, let's just keep going and learn more. We do have almost 25 minutes left, so we'll hold a few more questions. But audience, please do ask great questions. We do have a really generous $200 Airbnb gift card because you should take a vacation, not your network, and that's what's on the table today. So ask good questions for Kenneth and Ron.
And one of the things I want to add, Sonia, on that last point of does Nitel manage references 100% of the time? Because of our customer success focus, we have dedicated account managers, strategic account managers, and a customer success team. So regardless of any size customer, there's a dedicated resource for day 2 support outside of our network operations center. So these are the folks that manage all your moves, adds, changes, credits, billing questions, et cetera. And that's in addition to my tip of the spear sales organization. So these folks manage and maintain that goodness of fit and the customer experience day in, day out, and they're very, very good at what they do. So yes, we absolutely offer live customer reference calls. Let us know which vertical, which conversation you'd like to hold, and then we schedule that and make sure that those two parties get to meet and have a conversation about Nitel specifically, because we don't want to talk about us. We'd rather our customers do our talking for us. So I appreciate that. Thank you for asking that great question. So I'll kick this quick. This is a detailed slide Ron's going to talk about end to end, but the number one thing I'd want anyone on the call to think about is flexibility end to end. Whether you're looking at the multitude of SD-WAN platforms, we're not a one-trick pony. We don't want to solve a business need with a single box. We want to leverage the core technology to meet and guarantee the uptime, to meet the expectations of the customer, whether it's security-based or other technologies at the endpoint. And then at the last mile, flexibility, security and firewall flexibility, not just in the hardware, but where it resides inside the network. And Ron's going to talk about that in just a second. There's a lot of legacy companies, even today, that still have MPLS networks. They may want to run a hybrid cloud, and that would be MPLS working with a DIA-based or internet-based SD-WAN. We absolutely can do that. And then we can offer dedicated, I call it a public privatized network. And that's, we can leverage public DIA, leverage it by bringing last mile technology to Nitel's core network, and then offering the IP services through Nitel's autonomous system, and then guaranteeing that packet delivery up to any upstream provider. And again, we want flexibility in the cloud. Who matters to you, and do you want cloud connection services to be terminated directly to your endpoint partner of choice? So with that, I'm going to let Ron delve into this a bit more, but this is a visualization, a little bit simplified, but it goes into every detail in a little bit more granularity of the Nitel Connect story.
Thanks, Kenneth. Well put. So I'm gonna kind of break this down into different sections, so hopefully it makes more sense. But if you look at over on the left-hand side, that's showing our ability to create that private wide area network for the customer. So there's a lot of organizations that still need to be able to connect their branch locations back to the headquarters or branch to data center, right? So, similar to how a lot of organizations may use an MPLS network to connect all their locations together. We can do that through the use of our Nitel Connect SD-WAN platform, using different types of access, diverse access as the underlay for the SD-WAN services. And what I mean by access is exactly, what Kenneth had just mentioned, our ability to provide different types of internet access that could be diverse in terms of medium, a fiber-based dedicated internet connection as the primary, a broadband-based secondary connection that is coax, or possibly DSL that is copper, possibly even non-terrestrial services such as 4G or Ethernet over fixed wireless, which is microwave based. Kenneth, can you mute? I don't know if that's, yeah, thank you. So we have, the key thing there is our ability to provide diverse access to create a more diverse and reliable network for your customer. And he also mentioned that we have the ability to integrate MPLS, whether it's Nitel provided MPLS or third-party MPLS, to create that hybrid network. There are still organizations out there that for whatever reason, maybe it's latency requirements, they still do want to keep their MPLS network. That's fine, we can integrate that. As I mentioned, these different types of access circuits create the underlay for the SD-WAN services. The SD-WAN services, will be overlaid on top of the access circuits. We do have different, multiple SD-WAN platforms that we support. You'll see there, Barracuda. Barracuda is a full next-gen firewall, as well as it has integrated SD-WAN services, right? So you have the best of both worlds there as far as firewall services as well as SD-WAN. Versa is similar, SD-WAN as well as firewall services. Cato is SD-WAN as well as firewall services also. Cisco, and to be clear, that's Cisco Viptela. Enterprise level SD-WAN services. VMware, everybody is familiar with VMware. Great SD-WAN services, great portal, and then Fortinet can provide firewall services, right? So we have the ability to use any of these platforms to create a solution for the customer. Now, one thing that I always state is that the goal here is to create this Nitel Connect network that will solve a customer's network issues or whatever their business requirements are, and these SD-WAN platforms are basically a tool, right? So we typically don't go in selling a specific platform until we actually know what all of their requirements are, be it business, network, security, and budget, right? Once we know all of those requirements, then we can figure out what's the best solution, which is the best platform. Any questions? Okay.
Yeah, we actually do have a question from our audience really quick. Thank you. Thank you, Ron. So the question is enterprise the main customers for Nitel? This is from Matthew C, as in Charlie. Because he was just wondering, are there benefits for a smaller company, like a single office or something like that, one site? And would that even be a customer that might be interested in Nitel?
Oh yeah, I was just about to say, I'll let the sales guy handle that.
Okay. When we talk about single threaded office, right? So mom and pop shop, middle of somewhere, there's two things. Generally speaking, a small company like this, they may say the term or acronym SD-WAN, but it's not a wide area network unless we have multi-sites. So they probably want more like managed failover, managed firewall. Can Nitel be a fit for a single office in an area of the country? Absolutely, yes. But it depends on as compared to what. If you have a lit fiber infrastructure provider that's already gained that business, and then you're coming in as an advisor to find a better solution, when we have a single office, the power and benefit of Nitel, I think, is a little bit lessened simply because you have fewer carriers to choose from in that regard. And then anytime you cross LATA, have multi-site applications, Nitel's range, power, breadth, and depth of our middle mile and network leverages to a greater extent. So hopefully that makes sense. Can we support and do we support single site? Absolutely, all day, every day, whether it's, there's a multitude of franchise companies that leverage Nitel for just broadband. Maybe broadband and voice termination, maybe broadband and fiber termination, depending on the solution, depending on the problem we're solving for the partner involved and for the customer at the endpoint. Nitel can be any and everything to any company, regardless of size. Again, we leverage thousands of underlying suppliers to leverage that last mile technology for the benefit of the customer. And then the true magic in the cloud of the network is how we leverage those last mile endpoints for the customer's benefit in creating one autonomous network that can react and interact the way that they want to meet and exceed their customer expectation for every packet delivery, whether it's local internet, just dump it out to local internet, or a voice termination partner or an upstream cloud partner like SAP or Salesforce or others. I hope that addressed the question.
Yeah, I think so. And we do have more of a comment from one of our viewers on YouTube Live. This is Domingo F as in Foxtrot. Domingo says, nice to have the primary and backup on the same pane of glass. That's really important to him. So thank you for that comment, Domingo. And just as a reminder, please do ask great questions. We have a $200 giveaway gift card for Airbnb from Nitel, because you should take a vacation, not your network. And let's hear a little bit more because we have just a few minutes left.
Okay. So actually go back. So real quick, getting back to, so now we're looking at the middle of the slide. This is showing our ability to gateway or terminate an SD-WAN traffic back to the Nitel network. And you heard me mention before, the Nitel network is where we have our interconnects and our peering points with a lot of the cloud providers out there, right? So where that may benefit the customer is then by traffic going through Nitel's network, they will experience MPLS-like predictability and have access to those direct peering and interconnects that I just mentioned. To those cloud providers and platforms, such as Google, Salesforce, Momentum, Nexiva, RingCentral. And the advantage to your client then is a better user experience, because there's going to be less latency, less jitter, because of that more direct and predictable path to those cloud applications and platforms. And in addition to that, we also have some other add-ons that are possible. We can provide cloud-based firewalls. If it's a opportunity that may benefit from, instead of having firewalls at the edge. So let's say you have 100 location company that's looking to simplify their networks, looking to simplify their security services. Well, we can typically then provide a cloud firewall. Instead of having to manage 100 separate firewalls, now we are able to kind of simplify that to 1 or 2 or 3 separate cloud firewalls in the Nitel network. Thus simplifying their internet traffic and their security services. We also have the ability to provide private cloud access, right? Direct connections into a lot of the cloud service providers such as Azure, AWS, Oracle, and Google Cloud. We call it Cloud Connect. You may have heard similar type services such as Direct Connect to AWS, Express Route for Azure. What we're able to do is provide a direct on-ramp to those cloud providers through the Nitel network.
Great. We do have another question if now is a good time. couple actually.
Sure.
All right. The first one is from Tamara L, as in Lima. Tamara says, how would you deal with a completely in-cloud environment? No servers, no on-prem. To me, that's sort of the norm these days. Well, we hope we're getting that way. So how does that come into play for Nitel? Looks like Ron, you just muted. Let me try to unmute you. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I was just telling Kenneth that he was muted. He started talking, but for any in cloud services, we do have the ability to for pretty much all of our platforms, we do have the ability to stand up cloud-based versions of the platforms, right? So if it's a instance that's in AWS or Azure or Google, depending on the platform, there are versions that can be stood up on those cloud platforms. Hopefully
Okay,
that
great. Kenneth, did you have anything more to add to that? All right, I'm gonna try to unmute you. There you go.
Yeah. I think it's important to note, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's important to note in a cloud first environment, everything is out there, right? So if you look at the expansion of broadband infrastructure, fiber infrastructure, fixed wireless infrastructure, and mobility, 4G, 5G infrastructure, the entire world is, I want everything I need to know right here, right now, in real time, 24/7, 365. So our world is cloud. So with any enterprise that's trying to mimic what every consumer already has in their hand for all key resources, banking, voice, family security, pet monitoring, whatever it is, we're already a cloud first company or group or people. And so leveraging infrastructure for the benefit of an enterprise that is site specific and they're also platform specific. I don't want to say it's easy, but when you have a platform company that's custom built from the ground up to meet and exceed the customer, the quality assurance, and guarantee a service level across all applications, across all last mile technologies, and offers, cloud first or cloud connection services to give you that privatized lane to your termination partner of choice, that's a beautiful thing. So we're custom built to do that. We do it every day. And then we have lots of people behind the firewall inside Nitel guaranteeing the goodness of fit, that white glove boutique experience end to end from the first introduction to the company to the final renewal that organization ever does with Nitel. We want to offer a differentiated customer experience every single day in everything we do in every capacity in partnership with our trusted advisors and organizations that rely on Nitel to manage their mission critical communications day in and day out.
Awesome. Another question from Jeff C, as in Charlie. Jeff says, what percentage of your clients are in the healthcare industry? I know you glazed over a slide where I saw several there. Are you comfortable working with HIPAA restrictions and guidelines? And then another question, on a higher level, by connecting and unifying so many platforms under Nitel Connect, do you actually increase overall threat vectors and exposure to cyber threats?
It's a great question. So SASE enabled platform. So when we talk about HIPAA, PCI, I can share some PDFs that talk about our compliancy and how we support encrypting and securing data for our customers. But obviously with, Ron, help me out on the acronym, CPNI, our customer detail, a lot of people want Nitel's customer data, right? So is malware a threat to us, or is hacking a threat to us? Do we have all sorts of phishing scams that try to get perpetrated on Nitel employees? Absolutely. We're as open as any enterprise is in any space, whether it's healthcare, financial industry, et cetera. So we are a highly secured information company. And then I think Ron may be able to go into more of our security stance from an enterprise perspective, but I will tell you, being an RVP that manages a team in this company, I click on Duo all day, every day to get access to mission critical applications and information. And everything I do is run on a Barracuda VPN, regardless of where I sit throughout the US or around the world. But Ron, why don't you talk a little bit more about our security stance and how we can guarantee our customers' data traffic is absolutely protected?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that question was geared more towards, from a customer or enterprise perspective with respect to, if we were implementing our Nitel Connect's solution and using internet connections as the underlay for that private network, are you opening yourself up to security issues? And the answer is yes, right? Anytime you are implementing or integrating any internet connections, you're always going to be open to security issues, and that's why it's important to not only think about, as far as with Nitel Connect, the SD-WAN piece, as far as creating that private wide area network, but also how is security going to be integrated into that Nitel Connect or that SD-WAN network, and that's where we can offer security services either at the edge, and when I mean at the edge, on premise. We can also offer it in the cloud. We have the ability to offer security services for remote users, remote user VPN, network access control, for remote users that do have to connect back into the corporate network. So that is definitely something that needs to be taken into account and given priority, is that since you are opening yourself up because of these multiple internet connections, at the edge, you do have to make sure that you do have a security posture that is taking that into account, and whether that's firewall services at the edge, in the cloud. There are different ways for us to be able to mitigate those security threats. We can also layer on, just last thing, we can also layer on, what we call managed security services, where we're able to provide managed threat detection, so that we are monitoring logs and security events from pretty much any type of device that has an IP address, at least the firewall. We can also provide managed security services for network devices, routers, switches, servers, user PCs. We have the ability to do that, where if there is a security event, then we're able to see that fairly quickly, and then discuss with the customer how to then mitigate.
Great. Well, it sounds like great question. Thank you to Jeff. We added you to our drawing, so we do have time for maybe just a few more questions. But before we get there, let's go into this case study. I think case studies are one of the best ways for me to learn personally, so I really appreciate them. We'll just unmute Kenneth here.
No. Yep.
You guys are sitting close to each other, so we keep
I
muting
know.
each other.
Hey, I apologize, guys. Normally he's in Chicago and I'm in Southern California. Today we're literally sitting 5 feet away from each other. And this is a big office. I don't know why I can't come right next to Ron, but it's where I am. I just wanted to add, when we talk about enterprise security, so we do offer very high level managed threat detection, penetration testing, and break fix. Those are the 3 primary pillars of global SOC, managed SIEM, looking at everything in the world, rolling back that DVR of anomalous activity and figuring out what just happened to my infrastructure. We do absolutely offer that. What Ron had alluded to is that we can look at, that single threat area. Let's look at it, one firewall, and this is the zone that might be most penetrated by outside threats, et cetera. Or we can look at everything, every cascading CPU in the infrastructure, and monitor everything. So whether it's large, small, tiny company, large enterprise, we'd love to have a very deep security conversation to find out what security means to you and how can Nitel leverage our platform for your corporate benefit to ensure that you can sleep at night. And most importantly, you can go on vacation and rest assured a global attack's not going to take down your infrastructure and put you out of business. So nobody wants that kind of issue. But with that, we're going to jump into just a very short case study. I'll let Ron take this ball, but really appreciate you giving us this time today, Sonia.
Yeah,
Awesome. Sounds good.
So for this case study, online gaming company, some of the things that they were looking for was the ability to have diverse internet connections via a single provider, right? So a lot of locations, at least in the initial implementation, was over 138 locations. They did not, they were sick of having to deal with multiple providers, right? So that was the vendor management was one of the key things for them. They were looking for a one-stop shop for a provider to be able to provide, primary connection as well as secondary connection. In this case, dedicated fiber-based internet, broadband for their locations. They also needed a company that could quickly install these services as states legalize gambling. They needed to be able to get circuits in as soon as possible, right? And then from the security piece, we were able to provide not only the diverse internet connections, but they were also looking for a private network, which we did via implementing not only internet but also a separate Nitel MPLS network for their private WAN traffic. In addition to that, again, security is key. They, anytime any of their sites are down, that means thousands, if not millions of dollars lost. So one of the other things that we added on was our DDoS protection services, so that if there was a denial of service attack at any of their locations, then that DDoS event could be mitigated by routing that traffic, black holing that traffic, so that their sites are still up and running.
Now, a quick question, are these services available individually, or is it something that comes as a package?
So, Ron, you want me to handle that?
You can go ahead. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So when you think of Nitel, think flexibility. So do we offer standalone security solutions? Absolutely. Do we offer any endpoint solutions such as SD-WAN independently of network access? Absolutely. Do we offer voice services independent of everything that we sell? Absolutely. So again, generically, when you think of Nitel, think of a company that has a vast platform that solves many, many problems, but is flexible enough to solve the problem at hand today and then grow and expand that partnership over time based on the customer need, vision, focus, etc. So yes, we can and we do.
Okay, that's great to hear. Well, we have just about 3 minutes left. Let you both have some closing words here, and then if you will stop sharing your screen, we will do our drawing from the participants today who asked great questions. Thank you for that.
Outstanding. So I'll wrap it up very quickly and just say that when you think of Nitel, think of an organically grown company that got to a certain state, and in order to accelerate growth is now private equity backed. Our aspirations over the next 5 years is to become a global dominant network as a service provisioner and partner for any and all enterprise globally. And I think we've done an incredible job in deploying Hyperdrive as a single OSSN platform that drives empirical data to the palm of your hand through the My Nitel portal. And all of these entities, platforms, and solutions have increased volume of revenue going towards them, to accelerate them, to enhance them to the next iteration, the next level. And as we grow and expand, you'll see Nitel dominating more and more of the Fortune 1000, the Fortune 100, and large and small enterprise across the US. And I think we have a handsome bit of revenue on our books already. We've been doing a pretty good job of managing them over time. So for anybody that would like to entertain a conversation, I'm always available. You can text me, email me, call me, and I'm here to serve. And thank you so much, Sonia. And thanks to Ron Anastasio, our senior solutions architect, for being on this YouTube stream and live call today.
Ron, did you want to say your goodbyes before we do our drawing?
Yeah, what Kenneth said. And yes, thank you for taking the time.
All right, well, you guys have been great. This is the first virtual roundtable we've had with you on, so we do appreciate you joining us. We do these every 2 weeks. We are live now on YouTube as well. So for those of you who prefer that streaming channel, that's also an option. And I do try to monitor the comments there as much as possible as well. So thank you for that. Today, also, I wanted to mention we have a veterans event coming up in 2 weeks where we're bringing together a panelist of veterans in cybersecurity. So we are still looking for panelists. We have about 6 so far. we're specifically looking for leaders in cybersecurity who are also veterans. We figured that's a great way to celebrate Veterans Day this year, is to bring those folks on, as well as to give back to maybe other, newer returning to civilian life vets who are looking for career paths. And so I found that career path in cybersecurity myself as a vet returning from the military many years ago. And I'm so grateful that I did. It's been wonderful for myself. And so if you know someone who is a vet and they're a leader in the cybersecurity world, we would love to interview them and see if they might be a good fit for our panel. So it's time for the drawing. Let's do that now. Let's see. They're kind of stuck together. We have this winner right here, Jeff C, as in Charlie. Congratulations for winning.
Awesome. Way to go, Jeff.
Yeah, you get to take a vacation, not your network. So thanks for joining us again, Jeff. It's great to have you here. And thank you again, Nitel. We really appreciate you coming together today to put this on. I learned lots of new things about Nitel, which was great. And I got to know you guys a little better. And we look forward to next time.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
All right.
Take care.
See you soon.